Never mock a man's beginning. His ending might shock you.
In Isiowo, a town that slept just close enough to the roar of the city to dream of its wealth, lived a young man whose spirit shone brighter than the morning sun. His name was Daniel Okeke. Daniel was not rich. In fact, Daniel was the very definition of honest poverty. His father had danced with the ancestors too soon, leaving Daniel, barely a man at 15, as the head of the household. His frail mother, Mama Nkechi, and two younger sisters, Tioma and Faith. Every day, Daniel worked his small patch of land, coaxing stubborn yams from the dry earth before trekking miles to the main market, his tired legs powered by pure responsibility. His clothes told the story of his life, patched at the elbow, frayed at the hem. But the eyes of the market women never judged him. That Daniel, they would gossip. He may carry gari dust, but his heart is solid gold. But in Isiowo, there was another kind of gold. It was the gold of Chief Ugo Okoro, the man whose wealth cast a long, intimidating shadow over the town. Chief Okoro owned everything, from the biggest poultry farm to half the local petrol stations. His compound was guarded by a ferocious iron gate and a wall so high it blocked the sun. Inside that compound lived his only daughter, the dazzlingly beautiful Chiamaka Okoro, though everyone simply called her Blessing. Blessing was a masterpiece of luxury, draped in lace and gold, walking with the confidence that only generational money can buy. Her mother, Mama Okoro, had groomed her from birth. My daughter, do not look at a man's face or his character. Look at his capacity. Poverty is a stubborn disease. Let another woman catch it. And Blessing listened. She saw Daniel, the poor farm boy who had saved her from falling into the stream as children. But she saw him the way one sees a fly, necessary to the environment, but definitely not invited to dinner.
Welcome to African Folktale Stories Hub. Please like and subscribe.
Daniel's love for Blessing was not a sudden flame. It was a slow burning fire that had been stoked since childhood. He remembered the day, clear as a bell, when they were about 10. Blessing, wearing a pink dress that was already too expensive for the local dust, had tried to climb the mango tree near the community well. She slipped. Daniel, dirty from fetching water, caught her before she hit the ground. For a brief, magical moment, their world mixed. The sweaty smell of his gari sack and the sweet imported baby powder scent that clung to her skin. She had looked at him, not with the cold pride of Chief Okoro's daughter, but with simple gratitude. That look, that pure, unburdened smile, was the picture Daniel held in his heart, a counter-argument to the reality that she now barely acknowledged his existence. One evening, Daniel sat with his childhood friend, Kalu, under the big Iroko tree. Kalu was munching on groundnuts. "Daniel, my brother," Kalu said, spitting a shell, "you are still looking at that chief's daughter like a man looking at a dream. Wake up. She wears shoes that cost your mother's life savings. When she sees you coming, she tightens her nose. It is a waste of good feelings." Daniel sighed, the pain real but familiar. "Kalu, you don't understand. I see the heart beneath the gold. I see the girl from the stream." Kalu threw his hands up in despair. "Heart, my friend, in Lagos, heart cannot buy petrol. And Blessing is a Lagos girl trapped in a village. Her heart is coded in foreign currency. Please, save your love for a woman who knows the difference between true wealth and bank account figures." But love, as Daniel knew, was a deaf passenger on the journey of life.
The day Daniel decided to approach Blessing was a day of terrible hate and even worse judgment. He had sold a record number of plantains, earning enough to feel a small, reckless burst of hope. He oiled his hair, patched the biggest hole in his only decent sandal, and walked straight to Chief Okoro's fortress. At the magnificent iron gates to the gatesman, a large man named Tunde, who looked at Daniel as if he were a piece of dirt. "Who is this one? An intern beggar?" Tunde roared, adjusting his too tight uniform. Daniel swallowed, his throat dry. "Please, sir, tell Blessing. Tell Chiamaka that Daniel is here. I need to speak with her." When Blessing finally emerged, she was a vision in a fitted turquoise dress, looking like she'd stepped off a magazine cover. Her arrival brought the compound staff to the gate, their eyes wide with expectation. Blessing did not smile, she did not soften. "Daniel," she started, her voice a chilling whisper that carried, "What is this nonsense? Did you leave your vegetables here?" Daniel, knees shaking, poured out his soul. He spoke of his love, his determination, his promise to work until his hands bled. "I may be poor now, Blessing, but I have a plan. I have a future for us." For a long moment, Blessing studied his worn clothes, the sweat on his brow, and the sincerity in his eyes. Then she threw her head back and let out a laugh, sharp, high-pitched, and filled with venom. "A plan? Daniel, your plan is called suffering. Look at you. No car, no status, smelling like palm oil and despair. Do you think I will wash your dirty farm clothes and live in a house with a leaking roof? Go back to your shame. You are not worthy to stand on my father's concrete." The staff erupted in mocking laughter. Daniel's heart did not just break, it shattered into a million insignificant pieces. The words, "Go back to your poverty," delivered with surgical cruelty, echoed as he slowly walked away, the laughter of the rich ringing in his ears.
The humiliation was worse than a beating. It was a public execution of Daniel's dream. The gossip in Isi Owu spreads faster than a grass fire. Daniel stayed indoors for a day, the shame a physical weight on his shoulders. But that night, staring at the cracks in his mud wall, the pain transformed into something hard, something forged in pure iron, purpose. He would live. He would become a success. Not for Blessing, but for Mama Nkechi and his sisters, and to prove that a man's value is in his character, not his credit score. The next morning, Daniel sought counsel from Papa Nadi, the village elder, a man who saw tomorrow from the wisdom of yesterday. Papa Nadi sat under his ancient Iroko tree, smoking his pipe. Daniel poured out his soul, ending with his decision to go to Eko. Papa Nadi listened, his eyes closed. When Daniel finished, the elder tapped his pipe. "My son, the city is a greedy woman. She smiles with neon lights, but she feeds on young men's bones. Many go to Eko with dreams and return with nightmares. But," Papa Nadi paused, looking directly at Daniel, "the city also respects fire, and I see fire in your eyes. Go. Go with my blessing. But remember this, when the money comes, do not let it build walls around your soul. And do not let the memory of your pain make you cruel. Your success must be a ladder for your family, not a sword for your enemies." Daniel nodded, his eyes wet with a new resolve. That very evening, with his mother's fearful tears and his sister's tight, desperate hugs, Daniel packed his single bag. Inside, he placed his Bible, his school leaving certificate, and a small, bitter memory of a girl in turquoise dress. The road to Lagos was long, but Daniel walked it with a steady,
unforgiving rhythm of a man marching toward destiny.
Lagos. The city did not just roar, it shouted. When Daniel stepped out of the bus at the busy motor park, the sheer chaos hit him like a physical force. The air was thick with exhaust fumes, the smell of street food, and the noise of hundreds of voices hustling for a naira. Tall buildings scraped the sky, a sight he'd only seen in cheap calendars, making the mud houses of Isiowo feel 1,000 years away. He held his small bag close, suddenly feeling exposed, a true Johnny Just Come, JJC. He only had 3,500 naira. A kind newspaper vendor directed him to a construction site in Ikoyi, telling him, "If you are strong, the city will use you. If you are smart, you will use the city." Daniel found the site and the job. A manual laborer carrying 50 kg bags of cement from the truck to the 23rd floor. No elevator, just raw strength. The pay was 1,800 naira a day. His supervisor, a bulky man named Bassi, who had a voice like grinding stones, promised to fire him if he was lazy. Daniel worked as if his life depended on it, because in truth, it did. His shoulders bled, his hands grew blisters the size of eggs, and he slept in a tiny, crowded room in a jargon with 5 other men, the heat and their loud snoring making sleep a luxury. While his roommates wasted their small wages on cheap ogogoro, local gin, and loud women, Daniel kept his head down and his wallet closed. He saved every kobo. He lived on dry gari and groundnut soup, but every month he sent a substantial bundle of notes home to Mama Nkechi. The memory of Blessing's cruel laughter was the only fuel he needed, burning in his belly, reminding him to never stop climbing.
6 months passed in a blur of sweat, dust, and unending labor. Daniel was the quietest, most diligent worker on the site. He never took unnecessary breaks, never gossiped, and always calculated the quantity of materials needed for the next day, a practice that set him apart. His dedication did not go unnoticed. One afternoon, the site received a visit from the main contractor, a distinguished silver-haired gentleman known across the city as Mr. Adekule, a property mogul whose reputation for integrity was legendary. As Mr. Adekule toured the site, he noticed Daniel, drenched in sweat, meticulously stacking bags while others sat lazily in the shade. "Who is that young man?" he asked Bassi, the supervisor. Bassi, terrified of his boss, quickly praised Daniel. "Ah, sir, that is Daniel, village boy, but he has the heart of a lion, never late, never complains, always counting the stock." Mr. Adekunle called Daniel over. Daniel, wiping his hands nervously, stood before the great man. Mr. Adekunle asked him one question. "Why do you work so hard, Daniel?" Daniel looked him straight in the eye, forgetting his fear. "Sir, I have 2 reasons. First, my mother and sisters are depending on me. And second," he hesitated, "I was told I would never be anything. I work this hard to prove that character, not current circumstances, dictates a man's future." Mr. Adekule smiled, a rare, genuine smile. That moment was Daniel's turning point. Mr. Adekule saw the same hunger and honor that had driven him years ago. He offered Daniel a job as his personal assistant, saying, "The pay is better, the work is cleaner, and you will learn the business from the inside. Be honest and loyal, and I will teach you the city's secrets." Daniel accepted, holding the business card as if it were a ticket to heaven. For the next 2 years, Daniel was Mr. Adekule's shadow. He moved from the construction site to a plush, air-conditioned office in Victoria Island.
He learnt about contracts, sourcing materials, negotiating deals, and the cold, hard mathematics of profit margins. Mr. Adekunle treated him like the son he never had, exposing him to high-stakes business meetings and demanding precision in everything. Daniel, still living humbly and sending money home, absorbed knowledge like a sponge. At night, he devoured business books, teaching himself investment strategy. He exchanged his patched shirts for crisp, though still affordable, professional shirts. He learned to speak the language of power, not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence. One afternoon, Mr. Adekunle called him into his office. "Daniel," he said, pushing an envelope across the desk, "you have learned everything I can teach you. Now it is time to build your own empire." Inside the envelope was a check for 5 million naira, a non-interest loan to start his own company. Tears sprang to Daniel's eyes. He named his new venture Danielex Building Solutions. He started small, supplying high-quality materials, focusing on integrity and timely delivery. In a sector famous for sharp practices, Daniel's honesty was his unique selling point. Word spread. Within 18 months, Danielex secured its first major contract. Within 3 years, Daniel owned a fleet of trucks, 3 warehouses, and had just broken ground on his first estate development project in Lekki. The village boy was officially a Lagos big boy, a man of substance, all built on the foundation of humility and hard work. While Daniel's star was ascending over the Lagos skyline, the world in Isiowu was shifting like quicksand beneath the feet of Chief Ugu Okoro. Chief Okoro, who had ruled the town with an iron fist and a fat wallet, had grown complacent. He had invested heavily in a government contract that was suddenly cancelled due to a change in administration. It was a massive financial blow, one that exposed years of reckless spending and poorly managed debts. His creditors, who had once bowed low, now descended like vultures. The noise of their angry demands replaced the quiet arrogance of his wealth. First went the 3 expensive cars, taken by a desperate finance company. Then, the vast green farmland had to be mortgaged. Chief Okoro's health failed under distress. The man who once boasted loudest in the village square now hid in his crumbling mansion, his voice reduced to a fearful whisper. His wife, Mama Okoro, who had taught Blessing that poverty was a disease, could only sit and watch as the disease of debt ate through their family's legacy. The shame was suffocating. The magnificent iron gate, the same one that Daniel had been barred from, began to rust, squeaking mournfully every time it was pushed open by a debt collector. The Okoro name, which once a symbol of prestige, was now whispered with pity and malicious glee in the Isiolu market. The town that celebrates success is quick to dance on the grave of failure. For Blessing, the fall was not just financial. It was existential. She went from being the untouchable princess of Isiowu to the daughter of a ruined man. The friends who had once clamored for her attention vanished like smoke in the wind. Her expensive shoes and designer bags were now worthless trophies of a life that no longer existed. Mama Okoro, utterly broken, could offer no advice except to cry. Blessing realized with a shocking, painful clarity that her value had always been in her father's pocket, not her own worth. She tried to adapt. She attempted to start a small tailoring business, a skill her mother had insisted she learn just in case. But her hands, accustomed to luxury, were clumsy and slow. One day, Blessing had to go to the market to sell some of her mother's old gold trinkets to buy food and medicine for her father. She wore a simple, faded wrapper, her designer perfume long replaced by the heat of the sun. She had to bargain, almost beg for a fair price. It was a harrowing, deeply humbling experience. As she walked back, holding a small plastic bag of meager groceries, she passed the same Iroko tree where Daniel and Kalu used to sit. The memory of her cruel laughter 3 years prior hit her like a thunderbolt. She finally understood the weight of poverty she had mocked. She was now the one living in the mud of shame. She thought of Daniel, the poor boy with the golden hat, and the bitter irony of their reversal of fortune twisted her gut. She wished desperately that she could rewind time, not to accept his love, but simply to treat him like a human being.
7 years after Daniel walked out of Isiowu in shame, he returned. But this time, he did not come as a broken farm boy. He arrived in a sleek, black, customized Mercedes-Benz SUV, the kind that announces its price before its engine is even heard, followed by 2 white security vans. The driver was not Daniel. Daniel sat quietly in the back, dressed in a simple but impeccably tailored Ankara suit. He was not there for a parade. He was there for a project. Daniel X Befudin Solutions had secured the contract to build a major new primary healthcare center, and more significantly, to install a borehole and solar-powered community water system, ending the town's decades-long struggle with water scarcity. The news of his return spread like wildfire, causing immediate chaos. The whispers quickly turned into shouts of amazement. Is that not Daniel Okeke, Mama Nkechi's son? The same villagers who had pointed and laughed at his humiliation now thronged the town square to catch a glimpse of the Lagos billionaire. His mother, Mama Nkechi, now hale and hearty, beamed with pride. Her former mud house replaced by a sprawling, modern bungalow Daniel had secretly built for her years ago. Chifugu Okoro, still ill, heard the noise. He sent his houseboy to confirm the spectacle. When the boy returned, eyes wide with awe, he described the impossible. Daniel Okeke, standing tall, issuing instructions to a team of engineers, a man who had not just conquered Lagos, but had brought its prosperity back to his young. The inevitable meeting happened 2 weeks after Daniel's arrival, but it was not at the Okoro mansion. It was at the only functional petrol station on the highway, where Blessing, driven by sheer necessity, was now working as an attendant. Her job was to clean windshields and collect small tips. A bitter pill for a woman who once rode in 3 different cars. It was late afternoon, the sun a fierce orange ball. Daniel's black Mercedes pulled up to the pump. The driver stepped out, leaving Daniel alone in the back seat. Blessing approached the vehicle, rag in hand, her head bowed in practiced humility. "Good afternoon, sir," she murmured, avoiding eye contact. When the window slid down, Blessing looked up and froze. Her rag dropped to the dirty concrete. Standing before her, no longer a sweaty farm boy, but a man of immense calm authority, was Daniel Okeke. His eyes held no malice, only a deep, unsettling stillness. Blessing's face flushed scarlet, the shame of her past words and her present circumstance crushing her entirely. She tried to speak, but only a dry, rattling sound escaped her throat. Daniel, recognizing the depth of her shame, spoke first, his voice soft but firm. "Chiamaka," he said, using her formal name. "It is good to see you are working hard. May your effort be blessed." He handed the driver a thick wad of cash for fuel. Blessing could only stare, the silence between them louder than any shouted insult. She saw the man he had become, not a man seeking revenge, but a man completely liberated from her opinion. Over the next few days, Blessing could not escape the town's new favorite topic, the return of Daniel Okeke. She heard stories of his generosity, his humility, and his absolute refusal to boast. Finally, filled by desperation for her sick father and a new genuine humility, Blessing found Daniel at the new water project site, supervising the final pipe installation. He was sitting on a plastic chair, consulting with an engineer. When she approached, Daniel stood up. She knelt before him, a gesture of total surrender that shocked the onlookers. "Daniel," she whispered, tears streaming down her face, "I have no pride left. I came to beg for your forgiveness. My words destroyed you, and now our pride has destroyed us. My father is dying. We have nothing." She paused, her voice shaking. "I was wrong. I was terribly wrong to judge your character by your empty pocket. You were the only true gold I ever knew." Daniel watched her, his expression unreadable. He did not let her remain kneeling. He helped her up gently. "Chiamaka," he said, "I forgave you the day I left Isiowu. Your words did not destroy me. They gave me the fuel I needed. I am here because of the good Lord and my own determination, not for revenge." He then made his final powerful declaration. "I will pay for your father's medical treatment in Lagos. I will ensure your mother has capital for a small business, and I will hire you as a supply coordinator for the health center project. No special favors. You will earn your salary. But understand this, what I offer you is help, not love. My heart is no longer for sale, and certainly not for redemption. The lesson I learned is that a man must choose a woman who sees his future, not his present lack. The lesson you have learned is that character is the true currency." Daniel's quiet mercy became the greatest moral lesson Isiowu had ever witnessed, a viral story of how pain can build an empire and how arrogance can lose it all. Moral lesson: the measure of a man's worth is not the size of his pocket, but the fire in his spirit. Character is a far more valuable asset than any car, house, or gold chain.